Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoteric, and we got a really fun episode for you guys this Friday because I've been getting a lot of questions about software emulation, and a few people have mentioned they want to see a video on DuckStation. It's been something I wanted to check out as well, so I figured why not do that? Because I've been talking a lot about hardware replication with the MiSTer, and I do a lot of series on original hardware on my channel, but it's always great to see what's going on in the world of software emulation as well. Granted, if I ever do a series on the PlayStation 1, I will do it on original hardware because that's what my channel's about, but it really is exciting to see just how far software emulation has come, because I will say DuckStation is absolutely outstanding and it's been getting a ton of press lately. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like, subscribe, and that notification bell definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But it's a small and not super comprehensive tutorial. I'm just going to talk about how to get DuckStation set up and how to get it working correctly. You'll see here there is a Discord server as well if you need any help. I'm sure that's a great resource, but I will leave a link to the GitHub below so you can download this for yourself. And it is extremely easy to install. All you do is download the executable package, unzip it, and run it from there. You do need to have a BIOS file. I can't tell you where to get that, but shortly I will show you where you need to put it when you have it. But if you just go into latest development builds, go ahead and look for whatever you need. It is Windows. It also runs on Xbox Series X. I'm not showing that here because I can't find one, but you're going to probably be using the Windows executable. Now, DuckStation keeps files underneath documents, and that's where you need to put the BIOS file. It's really easy to find. I wish I could link it, I just can't. Copy that BIOS file into DuckStation, the BIOS folder, and you are ready to run whatever you need to. Now you are going to have bin and queue files. Just here, I'm just going to open up a folder, and let's go ahead and launch Wipeout. We're going to open up the queue file, and that's going to cause the system to restart. You're going to see the PlayStation splash screen with that iconic noise, and that's going to bring you right into whatever game you choose. I'm just going to pop back to Ridge Racer because I don't really like Wipeout XL that much. I like Ridge Racer Type 4 a lot better. But you'll see here, this is running in 4K native resolution. The internal resolution of this game is at 4K, and it is running at a perfect frame rate with no hitching on my system. Now, I have an i7 processor and a GTX 1080 Ti. It's not the beefiest rig anymore. I need to buy a new one, but this is kind of what is going to work on your system depending on your specs. And of course, it is going to be spec relevant, but I'm playing with an Xbox One X controller, USB into my Windows 10 machine, and it plays absolutely perfectly. And what I do love about this as well is how it recompiles changes on the fly. We can go from internal resolution to that 4K resolution, and it doesn't even need to stop. But if we do something with texture filtering, like go to bilinear, you'll see here it's going to, in real time, compile those shaders and continue to run. I love that it doesn't require a restart between setting changes. You can see on the fly how things look to you, and you can decide exactly what settings and what filters you want to use. Because if we switch from bilinear, no edge blending, it's just going to recompile those shaders again in real time, and now we're back to playing the game. That is a huge benefit. But you're going to notice between 3D to 2D games, those filters can either look great or abysmal. This has the bilinear texture filtering on for Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and this looks horrendous. I would never play this. But if we go to 4K, nearest neighbor, we get nice, awesome, chunky pixels. That's what I want to see. Now, there's tons of options to change the different interpolation, the different scaling options. The sky is the limit with DuckStation, and that's what I've been loving about it so much. It really is just the best way to play PlayStation 1 if you're not going to use original hardware currently. But as good as it looks, it also sounds incredible. So go ahead and listen for like 35-45 seconds because the sound on this emulator is dead on the money, is what I would expect. But I'll be right back.
No! It cannot be!
In my testing with DuckStation, I could not find a single circumstance in which the sound did not sound absolutely perfect. And you'll see here, I'm intentionally taking hits just to knock that hit point status down a little bit. Because another fun thing that this gives you is a full cheat engine. Now you can use it for whatever you want, you cannot cheat whatsoever, but it is available to you, and I do appreciate that. And what I'm going to do is just bring this up here. It'll say that it can affect the performance of the game. I wasn't able to make it not work, but you'll see here you have all these different options, including infinite health. So if we just toggle that on, we're going to be making changes to the game code on the fly. And if we go down now, Alucard is completely invincible. So it is a fun little extra thing that you're going to have. But where I think this really excels outside of 2D gaming is 3D. But what I want to talk about is the filtering nature of this. Bilinear filtering is on right now, and I particularly don't like it. I'm going to go ahead and show you why. Your mileage may vary. There's no wrong way for the game to look when you're emulating it. It's whatever you like. But go ahead and look at that pillar on the left. The texture's smooth. It does have a line across it, but it really is a nice blended look to it. If this is what you enjoy looking at, then 100% go for it. But on the fly, we can go into the enhancements and we can just go from bilinear filtering right back to that nearest neighbor setting. And that's going to repixelate that texture, and that line is going to become much less apparent. And this is how I think Crash Bandicoot should look. Of course, the internal resolution is running at 4K, but that filtering is not being done. That's the look that I like for PlayStation 1 games. That's what I recommend. But the great thing about DuckStation is it does give you the option to decide whatever you want. But the nice thing is Crash Bandicoot is running perfectly here at 4K resolution on my i7, no big deal. And if you even go to the GitHub, the processor requirements are basically just not a potato. I think that's a direct quote. So this should run on pretty much anything you throw at it. What we'll do is we'll move over to an original PlayStation 1 capture. It is of Crash Bandicoot 3 because that's what I have, but a game that was later on. DuckStation just makes it look great. Now there's nothing wrong with the original look to the game, but if you do want to play these games at 4K native resolution, it is amazing. And now what we're going to do is move over to something like Tekken 3, a 3D fighting game. It's running at 60 frames per second. If frames start to drop here, this is when we're really going to notice a performance difference versus original hardware. And what I will tell you is I had absolutely zero hitching, zero frame drops, and if there is any input lag, it is not affecting the gameplay. I've not measured the lag on this, but as long as your system is up to spec, you should be okay. And as a fun test, what I did on this match is I actually did 16x internal resolution, and again, I was not able to stop this from rendering 60 frames a second with pure fluidity. And that is the best part about DuckStation, is it seems like no matter what you throw at it, it is extremely difficult to get it to drop frames. Now I get it that a 1080 Ti is not the most recent graphics card whatsoever, but it still has enough heft to it to be able to render most games currently on PC at 4K in medium settings. So basically it seems like DuckStation just hums along no matter what you're doing to it. The fact that I can get this in 16x internal resolution at 60 frames per second is absolutely outstanding. And I've played a lot of Tekken 3 in my time. It's not my favorite fighting game franchise, but I definitely grew up with it, and I will say that I have absolutely no issue playing on DuckStation, and that's down to the lag. Because software emulators are always going to introduce a few frames of lag. If it gets too laggy, it's going to be a problem, but no issues with like that on DuckStation. But I would never usually play Tekken 3 on a software emulator. I'd plug in my PlayStation 1 to my PVM, but a game that I did find that might actually be better as a quality of life improvement on DuckStation is something like Silent Hill, because it's known for having this dithering pattern on the screen. Now it may be hard to see in the 4K internal resolution, but what we can go into the menu and do is change some settings which are actually going to disable the dithering, and the screen's suddenly going to get a lot smoother. We're going to go to True Color, and that takes away the dithering, and now you'll see the screen is much smoother and a lot better in that gradient. I actually like the look of this better compared to the original game, and what I'll do is I'll put Silent Hill 1 side by side in just a second, and you'll see the absolute difference in image quality with that dithering removed and with that internal rendering. And this makes Silent Hill feel almost like a new game, and I am 100% into it and there for it. And my favorite part it works with light gun games. You can do mouse emulation, but that means if you have a Sinden light gun, you could be playing something like Point Blank in 4K internal resolution, output to your 4K TV, and that is absolutely epic. The idea of playing Point Blank in 4K from my couch is something that I really do want to experience. Or you could just be like me and have a PSX DVR, that way you have component out natively. I don't recommend that unless you were a very hardcore collector. But yeah, DuckStation, seal of approval, it is amazing. Do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like, subscribe, that notification bell definitely helps us out. Otherwise, if you have any questions or comments, so leave them down below. Love chatting with you guys, but I'll see you next time. Bye bye.